Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing the perfectly curated luxury beauty collection. This is really everything you need to cover all occasions without all of the fluff and extra clutter. I wanted to share the essentials, but not too minimal, because we are makeup lovers after all, and we want a little bit of variety. Now, I have 34-year-old skin, and I live in South Florida, where it is hot and humid year-round. So my makeup needs will probably look very different to somebody who lives in northern Canada or London or maybe even the desert where it's extremely dry. So instead of telling you these are the exact products that everybody needs, I'm going to tell you what buckets I think you need to fill to create a nice, well-rounded collection. Depending on your lifestyle, your personal preference, you may choose to add a few things, maybe subtract a few things. Along with the items that I chose specifically, I will also include those prompts down below in the description box. That way it gives you a nice overall template to create the perfect luxury beauty collection for you. I'm going to present these in the order of application, so I am beginning with primer, which is somewhat controversial. A lot of people believe that you don't truly even need primer, so why include it on an essentials list? Well, I agree and I disagree. It depends on what you are using your primer for. If you are just looking for some skincare benefits, you want something that's going to increase the longevity of your foundation, you might just need a new foundation, and I would say in that case, go ahead and skip it. But these are the two primers that I pulled out, and they are such versatile products. You can use them as a primer, but you can also use them multiple other ways. Chanel CC Cream, of course, the #1 essential in any luxury beauty collection, and probably the only product that I would say, this one right here, this is the product that you need. The Chanel CC Cream has so much pigment to it that this could be your everyday foundation, but it has SPF 50, hyaluronic acid, and vitamin C. So you're getting sun protection and skincare ingredients. It's somewhat hydrating, but this would be beautiful underneath foundation if you have rosacea, if you have hyperpigmentation, if you struggle with post-blemish marks. So for those of us who don't have a perfectly even complexion, this is a great product. And it's also nice to have something like this for those minimal days that you're just getting out the door. It's in the squeezy tube. It's easy to throw in a beach bag or a weekend bag if you're taking a trip somewhere. The second primer I recommend would be an illuminating primer or something with radiance. I chose the iconic London Radiance Booster. I have shade Champagne Glow. This is what I've been using lately and I really like it. I love the consistency. I love the beautiful sheen it leaves on the skin, and I do feel like it helps to grip my foundation. But this would be the same category as the By Terry CC Serum, which I also really love. I used Rose Elixir on my face today. Also, the Chanel Illuminating Fluid and Rosy Light Drops would be in the same category. Charlotte Tilbury's Hollywood Flawless Filter. So you just have to choose your fighter. Whichever is your favorite, that would fill this bucket. And if you have extremely oily skin and you hate adding extra sheen or glow to your face, you might choose to skip this altogether. But what I love about this Radiance Booster and any Radiance Primer is that you can use it on the face. You could also mix it into your foundation, mix it into your concealer if you want, and you can apply it to the body. It's one of my favorite tricks, and I know this isn't going to be great for everybody, but when I wear a tank top, an off-the-shoulder top, if my arms are exposed at all and I'm going out to dinner or to an event, something with friends, I will almost always, I would say 99.9% of the time, I'll apply some sort of glow product to my shoulders, sometimes my entire chest and arms if I feel like it's necessary. So something like this, also very versatile. For foundation, I really only think you need 3, and that might seem like too many, but I would recommend a light coverage, a medium coverage, and a full coverage. And again, this is definitely going to depend on your personal lifestyle, but you need a very light coverage foundation. Perhaps the CC Cream fills this bucket for you for those days that you just want a little something on your face, but you're getting out the door. Perhaps it's your weekend foundation, your pool day, your beach party, your vacation foundation when you're really not messing around with makeup. You just want a little something. If you have perfectly even skin, this might be completely unnecessary for you. But there are those times that I want to just run out the door, but I've experienced maybe a bit of a breakout, or perhaps I did a peel, or I used too much retinol and now my face is red and peely. I don't want to do a ton of foundation, but I just need a little something. For this category, I highly recommend the new Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Complexion Touch. I personally prefer this to the Water Fresh tint because it does have slightly more coverage. Some people might just use this as their concealer or corrector, but I think this is kind of perfect, and I don't mind that it has a little less product because the bottle itself is a little bit smaller, more portable. I think this is so easy to throw in a makeup bag, maybe use for touch-ups throughout the day. But I have a feeling I'm going to get so much more use out of this because it has slightly more coverage, and I'll feel like I can depend on this to cover what I need versus the Water Fresh tint. Your medium coverage foundation is your everyday foundation. So if you like to wear full coverage every day, you would of course switch it out. If you like to wear very minimal, very sheer coverage every day, then this wouldn't be right for you. But I would say it's nice to have a medium coverage foundation on hand for those occasions that, again, maybe your skin's going through something, maybe you just want to kick it up a notch, maybe you're going to drinks after work, or you have a huge meeting where you're presenting in front of hundreds of people and you just want that extra boost of confidence. This would be your Vita Lumiere Aqua, your Ultra Le Tint Velvet is what I ended up going with. Could also be your Dior Air Flash, your Makeup Forever HD, your Charlotte Tilbury. There are so many incredible medium coverage foundations, but if I had to choose that one go-to every day, this is what I would choose. I thought about doing Vita Lumiere Aqua. I think they're sort of interchangeable. And then we have your special occasion foundation. Now, if you're retired, you don't know a lot of people who are getting married, you don't have a lot of events to go to, and you live a pretty minimal lifestyle, you could probably knock this off the list. But I think it's good to have that special occasion foundation on hand because we all know things pop up. Holiday parties. I mean, there are certain times of year when certainly we're a lot busier. Maybe over the summer, this isn't really a great category, but with my lifestyle, I would say if I'm filming, a lot of times I'll use this foundation. If I'm taking photos, if I'm going to an event, which generally I'll attend maybe a couple events a month, I like to wear a full coverage, long-lasting foundation, something that is going to be very perfecting in photos. I think it will last throughout the heat and the humidity. So my choice is the Guerlain L'Essential High Perfection. This is one of my holy grail foundations. It is incredible. I think it is a Selfridges exclusive, but it's just so good. I have shade 03N. I personally would choose this Guerlain over the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Filter or even the Chanel Ultra Le Tint. Dior Air Flash, I would say, could maybe be in the same category, but because this is what I currently have in my collection, this is the one I'm choosing. When I do use this up, and I probably will by the end of maybe this month or next month, I will simply swap in one of my other full coverage special occasion foundations. I won't replace it just yet because I'm trying to go through what I have, but if I had to choose one for the category, it is definitely this one. When it comes to concealer, I like to keep things very streamlined. I would say this is a one product category. Are there several that I really like? Sure. My choice was the Pat McGrath Labs. I could also have switched this out for maybe the new Tom Ford, which is really good. The Chanel Corrector would easily work. Even the By Terry, the clicky pen, I really like that concealer as well. But I can't really say I change my concealer very often. When I'm doing my makeup Mondays, you probably always see this concealer. I'm incredibly consistent, and I think when you find the formula that works really great for your skin, for your lifestyle, you know it doesn't crease on you and it works for you, you stick with it. Now, my duo would be a good concealer and then this Sisley Eye Contour Mask. This is incredible. It's been a while since I've talked about this, but I use it almost every single day, and it's a really great mask. Underneath the eyes, you can apply it on top of your makeup. You can apply it right underneath. The way I like to apply this is I'll do my skincare routine for the day, and then I'll apply a little bit of this underneath both eyes, and then I just do my makeup as usual. And it just helps to hydrate the skin, and it really locks in the moisture to the under eye area, so it helps prevent your concealer from creasing and getting dry. So these two together, combination sent from heaven. I really don't feel like I need anything else. To set our concealer, we need powder. I recommend having two in your collection. You need a loose powder and a pressed powder. I went with both Chanel products. I just really like their powder products. The Chanel loose powder lasts such a long time. I swear if I broke it down and did the math, this is probably one of the best values you can get from Chanel Beauty because it will last you easily over a year. I believe it's maybe $50, $55 for the tub. This is the Natural Finish Loose Powder shade 10. It's a little bit brightening, but not really. It's basically a translucent powder. If I had to get rid of all of my other powders and just keep one, I would keep this one hands down. And I really like the Le Beige powder because it is so finely milled, it is so sheer, it doesn't add coverage, so it's not going to get cakey throughout the day. The flip side of that, the con, is that you will sometimes develop a bit of a hard pan or a crust on top. It's very easy to get rid of. You can scratch it off. Some people like to use tape, or I've seen people use a spoolie. I don't like to waste any product, so I do my best to just kind of scrape around it and be very careful. It's actually a good sign that the powder is finely milled. You just have to be super careful that you're not going in with a sponge or a damp brush. If you've used a lot of cream products and you're immediately going in with the same brush, it's going to cause that hard pan. The powder looks beautiful on the skin. That's really what is the most important thing. And it's nice for travel if I do need to take something in my purse. Like if I know I'm going to be out for hours at a time, I'll need to take something like this. I am skipping all contour products and I am opting instead to just stick with bronzers to add that warmth, the touch of color to the skin. And I think for the perfectly curated collection, I would stick with one cream bronzer and one powder bronzer. My powder bronzer choice might surprise some people since I just talked so much about my love for the Gucci bronzer, and it is a tough choice to make, but if I had to go down to one, I would choose my Guerlain Terracotta bronzer. Guerlain is known for their bronzers, and I am just so loyal to them. It really comes down to loyalty. I want a Guerlain bronzer in my collection. I think it's just a luxury beauty staple. This is the Terracotta Light shade 04 Deep Golden. I believe I've gone through an 03. It was either an 03 or an 05, but I've had this bronzer before I used the entire thing up. It's so beautiful. It has a little sheen to it, not too much. I think the undertone is very warm. It's very much summer vacation, bronze goddess, and I just think it's beautiful. My cream bronzer of choice is, of course, the Chanel Le Beige Cream Bronzer. This is such a huge pot of product. I swear this will last easily over a year. I remember when I didn't have much makeup and I was working at the Chanel counter in Nashville, I used this bronzer almost every single day. At the time, it was still Soleil Tan de Chanel, but it took me like a full year just to use it. This is shade 392. I think this would be my ideal shade, either the 392 or the original 390. Again, if I did the math, it would probably be one of the best values you can get from Chanel. And it has so much more product than most others. This pot contains 30 grams or 1 ounce of cream bronzer. When it comes to blush, this is where you can really start to have fun with your makeup, to incorporate more of your personality and your personal style with the different shades. Variety is the spice of life. I mean, we could certainly choose one blush, but that would be incredibly boring. I would go with an everyday pink, a peach, and a beige. Those would be the shade categories that I would choose, but you might choose maybe 3 different categories. Maybe you want something more berry toned, mocha, depending on your skin tone, the eyeshadows you wear, the colors you like to wear. If I had to go with the perfect everyday pink, I really like this Hermes blush. Now, I'm pulling from my collection. You certainly don't have to go with the Hermes, but I really like the Hermes and I think it's fun to have in a luxury collection. This is shade 28, Rose Plume. It is the perfect, warm, very happy pink. This would be in the same category as a Chanel Rose Petale, NARS Orgasm, maybe Rosewood even from Chanel. So just a beautiful pink blush. Whatever that shade is to you, whatever the brand you prefer is, gotta have a pink. My choice for peach is the Laura Mercier peach. This is a pretty decent pan size as well. There's a peachy blush from Tom Ford, one of the duos, that is also really gorgeous. This is number 19 Rose Apricot. So this is also a really nice peach. It's just fun to have for summer. The light pink is going to take you through year round, but over the summer, spring, the warmer months, a peach is a great option. It's also good to have a variety of finishes, so the Hermes blush has a very natural, I wouldn't say matte, but it's a pretty natural matte finish, whereas this Laura Mercier has a very slight gold sheen to it. So I'm also getting variety in the finish as well. And then my beige choice is Evening Beige from Chanel. Unfortunately, I believe this is limited edition, discontinued. I'm not sure. It doesn't exist anymore. There are a few similar shades, so I will link something similar down below. I recently discovered, well, a couple months ago, I discovered a Pat McGrath Labs shade that is very similar. I think it's maybe called Desert Venus, something like that. But something that's a little bit bronzy, something like this is great year-round as well, but it pairs really nicely with a bolder lip. If you're ever doing maybe a dramatic eye or a really dramatic, bold red or berry lip, you're going to want more of a neutral blush. In most cases. Maybe you don't. But if you want to have a neutral blush, I think it's good to have something sort of beigey. This could also be maybe more of a bronzer shade, depending on what you prefer. And then on top of the 3 shades of powder blush, I included a cream blush option. If all you wear is creams and you're not really a powder person, you could also flip this around. You could do 3 shades of a cream blush and then maybe have 1 powder blush on hand. And there are so many beautiful cream blush products on the market. I mean, it is difficult to narrow down a choice. But the reason I went with the Hourglass is because, for one thing, I really like this shade. This is shade Sacred, but it is so pigmented. Almost too pigmented. I mean, for some people, this might be too much and you might prefer something a little bit lighter. It almost goes on like one of their lipsticks. It's so pigmented. I kind of like that because you can always sheer it out. You know, you can always use less. You can always mix it with something else. But if a blush is so light, you'll end up trying to build it up, trying to build it up. You kind of have to mess around with it a little bit. And the more you have to mess, that's when you start moving the foundation underneath. Things start to get a little bit patchy because you're just playing around with it. It's too high maintenance. You want something that just goes on, you can dab, 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 and you're done. It blends beautifully, even though it's pigmented, so it's just easy, convenient, and I really like the stick. This is where I might lose a lot of you, but I truly believe you only need 1 good highlighter in your collection. I don't really go through highlighters very often. It does happen occasionally, but I really have to work hard to make that happen. And I think just in general, you use highlighter on such small areas of the face and body. To have 1 good highlighter that you truly love in your collection, that's basically enough. And I went with this Westman Atelier Super Loaded Tinted Highlighter Peau de Rosé. You already knew. I love this cream because I think the cream is actually more flattering than powders. I do have some very flattering Chanel highlighter powders that look beautiful on the skin. They're a little bit more subtle. I easily could have swapped one of those in here, but I love this shade. It's slightly pink. It looks very ethereal. I have this on today. I wear it almost every single day. I like to apply a little bit to the chin, right above the brow, the nose even, and I just think overall it leaves the skin looking so ethereal, angelic, happy, glowy, just beautiful. If you prefer a powder, great. If you prefer a liquid, great. But I would say choose that one. Find that one perfect highlighter and keep that in your collection. Everything else is fun to have. It's great to have options, but is it really necessary? No. Are you missing anything to not have them? I don't think so. That does it for complexion. So now we are moving on to eyes. And before I get into palettes, I pulled out all of the other eye products you would need to do your makeup, like brows, mascara, eyeliner. I think you could go with 1 mascara. I obviously have several open. I basically rotate between 3. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk mascara, the Chantecaille Longest Lash, and the Gucci mascara. This is what I've been using on a regular basis. I could swap this out for either one and be happy. I think you just need to find the right wand, the right formula, just the mascara that works best for you, and then you don't really have to change it. And then for brows, This Precisely My Brow Pencil from Benefit, this is my go-to brow pencil. I don't feel the need to try anything else. I certainly am open to trying other brow pencils, but every other pencil I try is okay. It's not nearly as good as this. I think it does a great job getting those tiny little hair-like strokes. I just prefer it, and I use shade 4. It has the little spoolie on the end, so for me, this is it. I also really like their brow gel. This is the 24-hour brow setter. I kind of go between this and the Anastasia Brow Freeze. I really like both of these, and I think they're both essential. On days that I am doing more of a natural, minimal makeup look, I'm just kind of maybe adding a few things and getting out the door, I'll typically go in with this instead of this. But maybe like on a full brow moment when I'm really taking my time, I'll typically go in with the wax. This is my second little pot of this, and it took me over a year to finish the first one, and I think it's $26. I think that's really reasonable. Because I use this almost every day, I rarely use this, although it is definitely the best brow gel in terms of locking hairs in place. So I think I don't really have to replace this that often. This combination, these 3 products, are really all you ever need with brow. Eyeliner is the same. I think you could basically do a black and a brown. Whatever formula works best for you. I pulled out the Tom Ford Eye Defining Pen. I love this eyeliner. This is an old one. It's almost done, so I'll probably be decluttering this soon. Or at least throwing it in my empties bin. I've had it for a really long time. Because it's double-sided and there are 2 cartridges in here, I think it's maybe $60, but it basically comes out to $30 per eyeliner, and they are so long lasting. I love that you have the sponge tip, the little hair tip or the brush tip. Just a great product from Tom Ford. So my 3 eyeliner essentials would be black liquid, brown liquid, and then a bronze or light brown for the inner waterline. Now let's talk about eyeshadow. I think this is going to be another category where we all just have different preferences. This is going to look incredibly different for most people. I think if I were maybe starting from scratch or I was really looking to pare down, I would probably opt for 2 larger palettes and then 1 smaller travel palette. That's really all you truly need. I would do maybe a more neutral, larger palette. Ideally, it would be this Chanel Les Beige palette. I still use this palette. It is old. It is probably too old to go on my eyes, but I've been using it because I saved it, and as soon as it was no longer available, because this was limited edition several years ago, I didn't want to talk about it. I stopped using it, but then when I organized all of my makeup, I realized that I need to start using this so it doesn't completely go to waste. But I love this color story. It's not far off from the Natasha Denona Glam palette, and I would say this is probably your best modern choice that is available right now. Look how close these are. I'm not sure if I've ever shown them together or really compared them, but I would say if you missed out on the Les Beige palette, the Natasha Denona Glam palette would be an amazing option. But then I would also do a larger, colorful palette. So 2 options I like would be this Charlotte Tilbury. I also really like, of course, the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. I talk about that constantly. If I were to choose one neutral palette, I would choose Glam over Pillow Talk because it pulls a little bit warm. I like it, but it does pull a little bit orange. I think this is a great option. This is limited edition from last year. This is the Instant Eye Smoky Eyes Are Forever palette. But she comes out with one, I believe, every holiday season. It's always such a better value than her other eyeshadows. This palette has 12 shadows for $75 versus the quads for $53. So I will always opt to go with her larger palettes versus the smaller ones. I love her formula. And I love how user-friendly they are, how they usually have maybe like a crease, pop, smoke, whatever. On the back you have the 1, 2, 3, prime, enhance, smoke. I love that. Because if you're kind of not in the mood to be creative and you're just wanting to do your makeup on autopilot, it's great to have palettes that aren't overly complicated. So I love those as a good option. I also love this Pat McGrath Labs. Of course, when it comes to luxury glam eyeshadow, Pat McGrath Labs is a great brand to check out. I loved this Utopian Dream palette she came out with. Lots of sparkle, lots of drama, but you really only need one. We've gotten to a point somehow where it's just sort of known and expected that we're gonna keep buying eyeshadow palettes and never use them up, and people just know it. They've come to terms with it, and they're okay continuing to buy eyeshadow palettes with the knowledge that they will never use it up. I don't know how that happened. I don't think it's really smart. I don't think it's the best way to use your makeup dollars. However, if it makes you happy, then amazing. Buy whatever makes you happy, but if you have just drawers and drawers and just shelves and shelves of eyeshadow palettes, just know that they do expire after a few years. And you know, it's fun to look at for a while, but then what are you going to do with it? So I've stopped collecting these large palettes. I think 2 is probably the maximum. I typically do my makeup at home on the vanity, so I don't mind having 2 larger palettes, the neutral, the party palette. But I do think for travel, it would be good to have at least 1 smaller palette. And you could do the same. You could do a neutral and a party palette. I pulled out this Le Beige palette from Chanel. This is a 5-pan palette, and it's pretty versatile. I mean, similar to Glam, I could do just a little bronze in the crease, maybe just a little something something on the lid and be done. But then you do have these deeper shades in there, so you can make it really smoky and dramatic as well. And if you are traveling and that's why you're using this, chances are wherever you are going, you're not going to want to be messing around with large palettes. You can always travel with a large palette, but it's good to have a convenient size as well. And then last but certainly not least, we have lips. Lipsticks, lip liners, lip glosses. I think this is sort of a free-for-all category. I think lips, blushes, and eyeshadow is really where you can have fun and show your personality and personal style with your makeup collection. And as long as you are a bit conservative, maybe a bit more restricted in your shopping for other areas, why not have fun? Why not purchase that new shade of lipstick because it goes with your new dress and you just love the color? The key is really narrowing down your favorite formulas. What formula do you like? What feels the best and looks the best on your lips? And then go from there. And then you can just have fun with the shades. If you want to kind of narrow it down, I would say the rule of 3, once again, is always good. Maybe stick to 3 lip liners, 3 lipsticks, and 3 glosses. Maybe a lip balm in there if you typically use a lip balm. I would go with an everyday nude, an everyday pink, and then a pop of red. Maybe a coral, maybe a berry. Hands down, my favorite lipstick formula is the Chanel Le Rouge Duo Ultra Tenue. I love this lipstick. It's so long wearing, it's comfortable to wear, it's transfer resistant. See? Nothing. So I think it's great for every day. I wear this almost every single day, but it's also great for brides, for special occasions, for speaking engagements. If you have a long day at work and you're going from, the office to drinks later on and you don't have a lot of time to touch up. Is it the worst thing in the world to have to touch up your lipstick? Of course not. I don't mind touching up, but I also prefer to not have to worry about it, because another great thing about this lipstick is as it fades, because it will fade eventually, it still looks really pretty on the lips. So I never feel self-conscious. If I never feel like I have to run to the bathroom after I eat and, make sure everything looks okay, because it probably looks ridiculous and it might be peeling and patchy and look really terrible. That's never the case with these. I would settle for this. If I had to choose one lipstick formula and just have that in a bunch of shades, I would be happy. For a traditional bullet lipstick, I really like the Lip Power from Giorgio Armani. It is such a great cream lipstick. It feels really great. It's very intensely pigmented. Lasts a decent amount of time. I mean, I don't really have any complaints about it, and I think the shade range is really beautiful. So the Lip Power would be another recommendation. I love the Chanel lip glosses, but I also really like the Tom Ford lip glosses. If you're somebody who only uses lip gloss every once in a while, I think it's kind of nice to splurge on something special. If you don't want a huge collection of 50 lip glosses and you're not constantly adding lip products to your collection and you just want to curate a really nice selection, I would say stick to maybe 2 shades of the Tom Ford, maybe 2 shades of the Chanel. Something that you can wear alone or throw on top of another lipstick and just be done. This is 21 in the Buff. If you really love makeup setting spray, you could certainly throw one in the mix. I like a makeup setting spray. I don't use it regularly, like on a daily basis. I don't always use makeup setting spray. So that would complete the perfectly curated luxury makeup collection. I just counted all of the products and it came out to a perfect 30. It's everything you need to create your makeup for so many different occasions. You can still have some spice, some fun, some variety, especially when it comes to your eyeshadow. I don't think you would get bored with this collection, and based on what it looks like on the tray, I think it would all fit in one of the drawers, which would be really nice. So it's not going to take up a ton of space either. I look at this collection and this is kind of it. This is basically what I would use on a regular basis. Everything else is just extra. Extra products, they're options, which are fun to have, especially in certain categories. And for example, if you know that you would just go through bronzer really quickly, then of course you could add in your backup bronzer. Maybe it's nice to have two in the drawer because you're constantly going through it. Things like that, I think you could certainly tweak to make it work for you. Another great pro to shopping this way and to curating your collection and being pretty strict, especially with complexion products, is that it helps you plan out your shopping. So if I know that I'm going to go through 2 concealers a year, or if I'm just sticking to these basics, 1 cream and 1 powder bronzer, then I can kind of plan out, okay, well, in the spring, there's a Sephora savings event. During the holidays, there's a savings event. I know that I can get my discount on either side of the year and just kind of shop for what I need, what I will use, and that's it. So you always get your discount. And that completes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it and you found it helpful. I'm so excited to hear from you. What do you think of my perfectly curated luxury collection? Do you like the look of it? Do you need more items, less items? What changes and tweaks would you make to your perfectly curated collection? Let me know down in the comment section. As always, I will be linking everything mentioned. Everything on my face will be listed down below in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.